Good evening and welcome to tonight's Board of Education meeting. Let's all stand and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's remain standing for a moment of silence, please. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice for this meeting was advertised in the record, posted at the board office, and filed with the city clerk. I hereby call to order the regular public meeting on July 24th in the Hackensack Auditorium, the Hackensack High School Auditorium at 6:20. Ms. Singh, will you please do a roll call?
Okay. Mr. Mendez, who is absent. Mr. Carroll? Present. Mr. Coleman?
Present.
Ms. Cordero-Alton?
Present.
Ms. Maury?
Present.
Mr. Meehan?
Present.
Mr. Powell? Ms. Somerville?
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez is not here as yet. Mr. James Vickery?
Present.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 members here. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Be it resolved that the Hackensack Board of Education determines it necessary to meet in executive session on Monday, July 24th, 2023 to discuss legal, personnel, student-related matters, HIB reports, negotiations, and other confidential matters, and be it further resolved that these matters will be made public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Actually, but before we do that, I would like to make a motion to suspend a bylaw that says that we cannot use electronic, meaning our phone, for a board member to call in to executive session. In general, we don't do that. And we have not, that is somewhat of an antiquated practice post-COVID, but Mr. Powell, normally I would not make that, I would not allow that, but because he has had a surgery and physically cannot get into the building tonight, I would like to make a motion to, what I'm looking for. Suspend that bylaw for tonight only. We have a second from Mr. Carroll. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There are none. Okay, so thank you. So we will move. So now I need to be it further resolved that these matters will be made public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. We have a motion to move into executive session. Thank you, Mr. Carroll. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Somerville. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. Thank you. 6:23. We're ready? All right, welcome back. Good to see all of you. And so, Ms. Singh, if you will do a roll call for us, please.
Yes. Mr. Carroll,
Present.
Mr. Coleman,
Present.
Ms. Cordero Alton,
Present.
Ms. Maury,
Present.
Mr. Meehan,
Present.
Mr. Powell, Ms. Somerville,
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez is absent, Mr. James Vickery.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. So we have a presentation tonight from our coach wrestler.
Good evening. I have to admit, I'm not used to standing at a podium. I'm used to kind of circulating the auditorium or circulating a class or circulating a field. So bear with me a little bit if I get away from the mic. But I'd like to thank the Board of Education for giving me an opportunity to speak here tonight regarding the recent happenings of the Hackensack High School football program. On Thursday, July 13th, the reigning NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year and current New York Jet wide receiver Garrett Wilson made a surprise visit to our high school. He presented our football program with a donation of custom Adidas uniforms, sweatshirts, t-shirts, and other apparel. Media coverage from around the area, including NBC4 sportscaster Bruce Beck, Fox 5's Tina Cerveso, and the New York Times were all in attendance to capture the moment. It was a surprise for the ages, as one player put it. A totally overwhelming experience, as another player described it. Walking in, seeing Garrett Wilson in those uniforms was just amazing how a senior captain wrapped up the day. When asked about our Hackensack High School football players, Garrett Wilson responded with, "They were fun. They were just like me when I was growing up. Their energy is just simply contagious." Garrett also took the time to sign autographs, take photos, and spoke with our players and coaches about football and life in general. He spoke of the positives of giving back to the community. That brings me to recap the event and overall message he left our players with. Pay it forward. Meaning to go out of your way to help others. If you have a gift, share it, and to embrace those around you. I can tell you for a fact that our players took that saying to heart. That evening, following the event, after a full practice and lifting session, many of our players went to the junior football practice at Stye Park and did exactly that. They paid it forward. They began to help shape and mold the next generation of Comets to walk through these halls and play on Tom Delator Field. As a coach, in my eyes, those actions are worth more than any uniform or custom apparel. Those actions are what we want to see in our young people today and the core values that we preach within our program. Values of selflessness, sacrifice, and humility. Now, people are asking me, and this is all the way by way of Ohio as far as that, because Garrett Wilson is a graduate of the Ohio State University, excuse me. What does Garrett Wilson have to do with Hackensack? Well, he doesn't until now, right? Garrett's management team was looking for a program that would value this donation, accept it, and highlight it as part of their learning experience. Well, I assure you that they picked the right program when they selected Hackensack. When I got the call back in March about this, I knew we had to do right, not only for our program's sake, but for Garrett's sake as well. That's when the invite went out to Garrett and his team that we want to go out of our way to make him feel welcome and part of our common family. We went to the drawing board, as we say in coaching. We had to make this presentation something special, something that our community can be proud of. And I'd like to say, based on the responses that we've seen on social media, based on the responses I've gotten through text messages, emails, I'd say it was a success. In closing, I want to acknowledge the people behind the scenes that made that event possible. Eli Hodges, New York Jets Senior Manager of Community Relations. Ashley Kirby, Excel Sports Management. Gordon Whiting, Director of Athletics. Jim Montesano, Principal of Hackensack High School. Celso King, Assistant Principal of Hackensack High School. Michelle Canestrino, Athletic Administrative Assistant. And lastly, kind of going off the cusp. You probably can get upset with me a little bit, but oh well, I owe it to him. Before I leave, I want to congratulate Mr. Sanchez on his retirement, as I see it is on the agenda tonight. Mr. Sanchez, thank you for the opportunity you gave me back in May of 21. It has been a pleasure working under your leadership and direction at this time. I firmly believe that you have left an everlasting impression on Hackensack schools and our athletic family. I will never forget you walking the grounds with me after Hurricane Ida and you being the first on the scene and coming up to us and saying, how are we going to get our schools open, or how are we going to get our athletic teams to compete? You always had what's best for the kids in mind. As we say, once a comment, always a comment. May you always find your way back to First and B Street. God bless you. Congratulations, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Coach. All right, moving on to our, oh, we're in the summertime, never mind. Our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Brett. Good evening, everyone. I hope your summer is going well. I'm pleased to report that our summer programs have been going well and that our custodial and maintenance crews have been hard at work getting our schools ready for the beginning of the school year, while we simultaneously continue to make progress on our numerous facility projects throughout the district. The work on our fitness center, field house, and track at Hackensack High School should be completed by the next time we meet, and we couldn't be more excited for our kids. Upon the completion of these aforementioned projects, our students will be able to train and compete at one of the best athletic facilities in all of Bergen County. Sticking with the theme of facility projects and enhancements, new boilers are being installed at Jackson Avenue School, HVAC system upgrades continue at Hackensack High School, Fannie Mayer Hillers, and Fairmont School. A new gym floor will be installed at Nellie K. Parker School, and the work continues at the cafeteria and kitchen renovations at Hackensack High School and Hackensack Middle School, respectively. In the near future, new unit vents will be installed at Hackensack Middle School to improve fresh air circulation and heating and cooling. Furthermore, the auditorium renovation at Hackensack High School and construction of new security vestibule at Nellie K. Parker will begin in the upcoming months. I continue to thank our entire school community for their patience and understanding during our facility enhancement process. We understand that there may have been and continue to be inconveniences and adjustments required throughout the renovations, but we firmly believe that the long-term benefits of these upgrades will significantly outweigh any temporary disruptions. Moving on, I was recently informed that our very own Dr. Joy Whiting is being awarded a public service award from the Center for Food Action on October 9th at their annual gala for her service to our families facing food insecurity in our community. During her tenure at Hillers and the middle school, she continued to partner with the Center for Food Action's Weekend Snack Program, and her support and coordination during their Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service during the pandemic enabled them to serve over 180 families that were facing food insecurity. We're very proud of Dr. Whiting and grateful for her commitment to community service. Congratulations to Dr. Whiting on this well-deserved honor. So as Brett pointed out, you may have noticed that on tonight's agenda was a resolution for my retirement effective January 1st, 2024. As many of you know, the last few years have been personally challenging for my family. My family and I have dealt with catastrophic illness and the loss of my wife and children's grandfather in the span of a month. Please know that the decision to retire has been met with much reflection and consideration after spending the last 32 years of my life in a very rewarding career in education. Although bittersweet, it is time for me to move on to the next phase of my life where I can spend more time with my family and pursue personal interests outside of my professional career. While the decision to retire has been a difficult one that I have wrestled with the last few months, I know in my heart that it's the right one for my family. Just ask my kids. It has been an immense honor and privilege to serve as the superintendent of this exceptional school district for the last 4 years. Throughout my tenure, I've had the opportunity to witness the incredible growth and accomplishments of our students, the steadfast dedication of our staff, and immense support of our parents and community members. Together, we have made a lasting impact on the lives of countless individuals. I'm proud of the progress we have made during my tenure, from our upgrading our facilities to implementing new educational initiatives which foster a culture of inclusivity and embracing the power of technology in the classroom. The dedication and hard work of every individual involved in our district has propelled us to new heights positioning our district as a leader in education within our region. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the entire Hackensack Public Schools community for their support and collaboration that has characterized our journey together. The collective efforts of our talented educators, administrators, support staff, and board members have created an educational environment that fosters excellence, innovation, and student success. I am truly humbled to have been part of this extraordinary team. In closing, thank you once again for the privilege of serving as superintendent of Hackensack Public Schools. I will forever cherish the memories and relationships formed during my time here. With that said, I have not left yet. We still have much work to do, and I am committed to ensuring a smooth transition. Now on to the enrollment report. Our current enrollment is 5,061 students, and a total of 7 HIB investigations were completed this past month. Enjoy the rest of the summer. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. So now we'll move into our public comments portion. All participants must sign in. When it's your turn, please state the following: your name, your municipality, any group that you're affiliated with that might be important. Each person has a limit of 3 minutes. Please, when you hear the buzzer go off, send your comments, and please direct all comments to me as the presiding officer, and all responses will be held to the end of the public participation. So, here you are. First up.
Good evening, Joyce Wickersheim, Fairmount School teacher, Fairmount, Hackensack resident. I would like to start by thanking my Fairmount family for supporting me last month and again tonight. Tonight, I stand in front of you not only as a veteran kindergarten teacher, but as an active resident in this community. I grew up here, raised my children here, was involved in the Fairmount PTA when my children started there, and continue to be involved while I teach. I have also taught in Fairmount for the past 14 years. At the last board meeting, I was not able to speak due to the shock and disbelief that I was being transferred. To say that I was shocked is an understatement. What did I do to have the rug pulled out from underneath me? The answer is nothing. I do my job. I am actively involved in all school events. My observations showed no sign of worry, and I've been in the school union building leader for the last 12 years. This was not an easy year for any of us. Being the building leader, I had to go into more closed door meetings than I've ever done before. I strongly believe that my transfer has to do not with me as a teacher, but who I represent. You have heard from a plethora of teachers speak, not just about my transfer, but about the climate of our school. My colleagues who are not just teachers, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, and friends from all walks of life stood before you and not only showed you empathy, but showed diversity within our school, AKA our Fairmount family. I would like you all to know that I did not request this transfer to leave my Fairmount family of over 20 years. Although with a heavy heart, I am ready to accept this at this time because I believe that staying at Fairmount would become an unhealthy environment to work under the present administration. Thank you.
Danielle Jackson, Hackensack resident, parent, and teacher. Good evening. I received a Rice notice on Saturday that needed to be signed for. I almost missed it because I was nursing my daughter. I received another letter in the mail today, but that was at 3 p.m. Rice notices should be sent out in a timely manner, allowing recipients time to receive, process, and respond. It's unfair to send us last-minute notifications and expect us to meet the 12 p.m. deadline. Currently, I'm being moved to a kindergarten position after effectively serving my Fairmount first grade students and their families for 13 years. I haven't been given a logical reason for this move. Watching my colleague, Joyce Wickersheim, with over 14 years of stellar service in the same school be transferred to another building and grade without a valid reason leaves me extremely concerned about the decision-making processes as well as the lack of transparency. Returning from maternity leave to come back to a new grade, a new team with new programs is challenging enough. without worrying that I may be reassigned or transferred on a whim, regardless of how well I do my job. I've also been told that this year, kindergarten students with IEPs requiring it will not be supported in class by a certified special education teacher. For the past 6 years, that has not been the case. As a teacher and parent in this district, it is a serious concern that groups of students may not be receiving the necessary support prescribed in their IEPs. Any information that you can share regarding this change would be greatly appreciated. At the last meeting of the school year, I and about 10 of my Fairmount colleagues, you can see many of them in the audience tonight, addressed the board with concerns over some of these same issues. Please show us that our voices are being heard and valued. We appreciate your supportive words, but we need your actions to back it up. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Shannon Cox Murphy. I've been a devoted staff member at Fairmount School since 1991. Tonight, I am also speaking on behalf of my kindergarten colleague, Jennifer Reyes, who is our kindergarten and LLD self-contained classroom teacher. Good evening to all. My name is Jennifer Reyes. One moment, please. Thank you. Good evening to all. My name is Jennifer Reyes, and I'm the kindergarten LLD teacher at Fairmount School. At the last board meeting in June, Nicole Stein graciously spoke on my behalf about the morale at Fairmount and our concerns regarding the transfer of Joyce Wickersheim. Tonight, I stand before you with those same concerns and a few other areas that trouble us all. My colleagues and I are concerned about retaliation of any form since we spoke up last month. I hope that this continues to be a safe place, a safe space, and platform for us to use our voices and be upstanders and advocates for our Fairmount family. Retaliation, no matter how subtle, is unacceptable. We are still trying to make sense of the decisions that were made in June. We are perplexed that just after Mrs. Wickersheim's transfer was announced, a kindergarten position was posted for vacancy at Fairmount. We are also concerned as to why Danielle Jackson was moved to kindergarten as an in-class support teacher classroom, a kindergarten teacher while she is on maternity leave. As such, the class that will need more support for its classified students will start the school year with a substitute. Let me also mention that a first grade position was posted as well. We're also distressed regarding the fact that our kindergartens will no longer have a certified special education teacher providing service for them in an ICS setting. The in-class support with a special ed teacher is being replaced with supplemental support from a para. Will these paras be trained? Or will teachers have yet another responsibility to train them? How do regular ed teachers train paras to support students with IEPs during the school day? We are told to use data to drive instruction. What data proved that it was necessary to transfer Mrs. Wickersheim and move Mrs. Jackson? How does the data justify these decisions after our morale at Fairmount is depleted and the students are not yet performing up to par post-pandemic? Fairmount students and staff have demonstrated gains in academic success on the way to recovering from severe losses from disruptions from COVID. We are here tonight because the students are our main area of concern. How are these decisions, no matter how they affect us personally, in the best interest of our students? Leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge. Thank you.
Anyone else? Is there anyone online?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Patty Burleson. I'm a Fairmount teacher and an HEA building rep. I've always lived by the saying that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. We recognize that our classroom and assignments are not guaranteed. We understand that only our position is promised, but not our place. But we also have been accustomed to the basic courtesies of working relationships with our administration. Joyce Wickersheim did not ask for this transfer, nor did Danielle Jackson. To remove a teacher from a school without explanation and to date, no conversation about what grade she will teach indicates how little we as staff or as people matter to our admin. There are other surprise transfers happening as well. Last month, Fairmount was represented by every grade level. We had 25 teachers at the meeting and 10 teachers spoke from the heart. The board spoke from the heart as well. Nearly every board member spoke about how Fairmount teachers stepped up for their children. We are asking you to step up for us today. Because Mrs. Wickersheim has had nothing but positive observations, has been a force in the community and a voice for the members in the building, we can only view this as a targeted, arbitrary, and capricious act. Please reconsider these transfers. Thank you.
Anyone else online? That's it? All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Singh. Be it resolved that the Hackensack Board of Education approves the regular minutes and closed session minutes on June 26, 2023, and board retreat minutes of July 10th, 2023 as submitted. Can I have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Coleman. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cordero Alton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I abstain.
Thank you.
Scott, I can vote for June 26th, but I can't vote for July 10th. I didn't attend that meeting.
Thank you.
So Marlene, trustee Marlene and trustee Carl abstains?
Yeah, I,
Okay.
All right. Thank you. We'll move to our resolutions. Mr. Coleman.
Yes, Mr. President, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, we move for the approval of the personnel actions 8.1 A through X.
All right, thank you. That's a motion by Mr. Coleman. Can I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Bendezu is absent. Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Ms. Cordero Alton,
Yes.
Ms. Maury,
Yes.
Mr. Meehan,
Yes.
Mr. Powell.
That's personnel, right?
Yes. A1 to AX.
Yes.
Ms. Somerville,
yes,
Mr. Rodriguez is absent. Mr. James Vickery,
Yes.
motion passes.
Did that
include Charlie 9? C9?
No,
No,
that's
we're
it.
on
It's just
eight.
personnel.
Oh, sorry.
All right, moving on to policy. Ms. Somerville.
I. Be it resolved that the Hackensack Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, approve for first reading the following policies and regulation. We have 3 new policies, 4 revised policies, and 2 abolished policies. And approves for second reading policies and regulations, we have none. Any information on the content of the policies and the policy numbers will be on the board website, or you can reach out to Ms. Marks for any additional detail. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I bring forward for voting. Sorry, Scott.
That's
Lost
okay.
my train of thought.
All right. I'll be one and B2. So, can I have a second, please? Second. I think I heard Mr. Powell, and then, a roll call, please.
Mr. Bendezu is absent. Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Ms. Cordero Alton,
Yes.
Ms. Maury,
Yes.
Mr. Meehan,
Yes.
Mr. Powell, Ms. Somerville,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez is absent. Mr. James Vickery,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, moving on to curriculum. Ms. Somerville, you're back up.
Be it resolved that the Hackensack Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, ratifies the following. Approves this, oh my God, sorry, guys, today's not a good day. Approves the following policies for curriculum C1 through C23 for approval, but there is an issue with C9. So Scott, how do you want to address C9?
After we take our motion to first and second, then we'll open it up for discussion.
Okay, thank you. So
So-
we bring forward C1 through C23.
Thank you. Ms. Somerville made a motion. Can I have a second? Second. Who was that? Mr. Carroll, thank you. So is there discussion on any of these items?
So do you want me to read C9?
Sure.
Okay. So the Hackensack Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of school, approves the purchase and adoption of the Northwest Evaluation Association Measure of Academic Progress and Growth Assessment for math in grades 2 through 8 for the 2023-2024 school year. The cost not to exceed $65,727 will be paid by Title I funds. So is there any comment or conversation in reference to C9?
President, James Vickery, I would like to comment
Okay.
with your approval. As a board member, if there's a situation where it becomes a question of impropriety, whether or not it may still be legal, ethics is something that is slightly different. We are accountable to the public. So one of the things that came up was a situation where, without mentioning names, a government official is selling a product to Hackensack Public Schools. And I feel that it is potentially not a conflict of interest in legal terms, but as a board member, I am obligated to make sure that my decision on behalf of the welfare of the school district is made with a clear conscience. And so therefore, I will be abstaining on my vote this evening, even if it's an unpopular decision, because that's what I was appointed to do. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Meehan. So I think that the issue before us is that there is a math assessment tool, I think is the best way to frame that, is on the resolutions tonight for $65,727. And that sales representative is a council person of Hackensack City Council. Full disclosure, the board has no idea that this, that's way down from what we do. We had no idea this was happening. It comes to us, and the people that bring that to us did their appropriate thing and gave full disclosure to that, which is the right thing to do. And then, so now, that's where we are. So, but here's the question is, the supervisor and the director, whoever the smart people that are employed that make decisions like that, believe that this is what is best for our students. And so I think the first thing we need to do is hear from the people who can tell us about, is this why we need this assessment tool? So, Ms. Parkman, I'll let you decide who that needs to be.
So as they walk up, I can assure everyone that, that department, they take, any program that they look at very seriously, and they properly vetted out this program, irregardless of who the salesperson would be. But I'll let them speak to the value and merits of the program, because that's what they do best. Next time, sit closer.
President, James Scott Vickery, could you repeat the question again and what you would like me to do?
So, in selecting this assessment tool, tell us why this is the best one, why we need this one, as opposed to selecting another one. Because if we are going to select this one, why do our kids need this one? And to purchase it from this company specifically, because it presents somewhat of a dilemma.
First, I want to start out by acknowledging our math supervisor and our two math coaches who attended a presentation from someone who presented, and we relied on our math coaches and our math supervisor in making the decision, because I am not an expert in math. So I just wanted to say, first of all, why we accepted their recommendation. They are the experts. First, I just want to give some background information. We need to address and improve our student performance in math. In grade 3, 117 of our students, that is 32.1% of our students, were proficient. 67.9%, 248 students were not proficient. In grade 4, 28% of our students, 102 students, were proficient. 72%, 255 of our students were not proficient. In grade 5, 11.4% were proficient, 34 students. 88.6%, 265 students were not proficient. In grade 6, 10%, 36 students were proficient. 90%, 330 students were not proficient. In grade 7, 15%, 54 students were proficient. 85%, 305 students were not proficient. In grade 8, 8.6%, 27 students were proficient. 91.4%, 286 students were not proficient. And our math scores have been along this range for a few years, and considering, our issues with COVID had a lot to do with it as well. But at this point, we need to pinpoint the specific areas and provide tiered instruction to accelerate growth. We did not have a product in elementary school in the level that demonstrated how students were performing in the 4 domains of math. 4th grade students were assigned intervention based on NJSLA math scores only. This year, however, we use math inventory. It is not as specific as MAP, what we are proposing tonight. which you will hear about later from me. It was going to be the math supervisor. I want to commend her. She was on vacation. She actually, I don't like to tell her business, but she was moving. She purchased a new home today, had planned to move, but she came in thinking that she would meet at 6:15. She went back to address the movers who are still waiting for her. So she left me some notes. So I would say later you would hear from her, but now you're going to hear from me, and I will give you the details. We also need to provide teachers with specific data on each student so that they can tailor instruction to meet the needs of the students. This is how we support our teachers. We can't expect them to teach and then try to also, especially our elementary teachers, to try to figure out specifically what is the area. This is the area that they need. This is the only product, it's not a program, that really provides details. We also need to provide, we need to continue to support teachers with instructional coaches. Last year, this upcoming school year, we invested $300,000 in a new math program, Reveal Math, for grades K through 4. As we know, data-driven instruction will impact learning. We discovered a product that will provide the information that we need to pinpoint student strengths and deficiencies in math in the 4 specific domains. This assessment map aligns with the new math program. In fact, how we learned about it, we had representatives from Reveal Math, and they mentioned MAP, which aligns with their program. That is how we found out about this. Part of the project includes administrator and staff professional development as well. So when you see the figure, it includes staff development, which Dr. Kazmark will talk to you more about this. This project that is on the curriculum agenda tonight is important for our students. I trust in the integrity of our math supervisor and our math coaches. The decision was based on what this unique product will do and not on anything else. I'll allow Dr. Kazmark to present to you the itemized course and what it covers, and then I'll come back to you with some more details that were provided by our math supervisor and our math coaches.
So can I, so did I hear you say this, whatever assessment tool offers things that other tools do?
Other tools do not, yes.
Okay.
I have a comparison document here that was prepared by the math supervisor, and I will share that as well.
Can we pass that down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Ms. Casman, Dr. Casman.
So we don't bring products to the board without fully vetting them. That's never been, I mean, I've been doing this 15 years and I've never come to a board meeting with items that haven't been vetted and put forward. I also don't put items forward based on who sells them. So this has been going on now for 6 months in terms of actively looking at assessment products a lot to go along with the new math adoption. The district hasn't had a new math program since 2015. So we were overdue for one. We had multiple meetings, multiple stakeholders who came in and took a look at all of these products. And when we settled on Reveal Math, because it was comprehensive and included intervention pieces and all of the things that we were looking for, we had teacher training. We split the purchase over 2 years so that we could get teachers guides and training, initial training in before the close of the school year. During that training, the sales rep, not from NWEA, but from McGraw-Hill, presented a partnership that they have with NWEA.
which is the company that sells the MAP test. MAP has been used all over the state of New Jersey for many years. It has a great reputation. It's also approved by the Department of Ed. So as we know from, I guess, one of my previous presentations, 3 of our schools are targeted schools in status with the Department of Ed. In the meetings in the spring, each school has a representative from the department. They were looking for assessments that coincided with being able to show student growth so that teachers and principals would know exactly where kids were lacking in math and be able to provide in-class intervention to that. They, on those calls, mentioned that Hackensack does not have a program that does this. They looked at all of our assessments and did not feel that we had anything that would be able to provide this level of intervention. The Department of Ed doesn't recommend programs, but in completing the Title I grant and submitting it through the multiple Department of Ed agencies that have to submit it to, everybody was in approval of this product for that reason. The quote is $65,727. It is paid for out of Title I funds, so it is not taxpayer funded. Don't know if that's relevant, but I want to make sure that I stated that. It is a $22,167 program for the cost of licenses. For the remaining cost is for professional development. And that may seem like a lot, but the single session day rate is $1,980, which is pretty standard. Usually PD days are about $2,000 per day. So it's a pretty standard cost. And there are 2 different trainings that were recommended. One is to do the basics, MAP growth basics, meaning how the program runs, how teachers use it, how students access it, et cetera. And one to apply reports. So how to read the reports, how to look at the data, how to apply it to intervention. So it's 2 separate trainings. And then there are 2 separate days that are used for leaders, right? So leaders each get a day each. And the remaining 20 days would be for teachers. So every company that I know of has a cap on the number of teachers you can put in a session. This particular company is 30, again, pretty standard. Usually it's between 25 and 30. We have approximately 30 teachers per grade level in the elementary schools. We also have an issue with substitutes. So we can't pull a whole grade level at one time for a 3-hour training because we won't have the subs to operate the schools. So in the past year, we've done small groups trainings, which requires more days because we have more teachers. In order to accommodate the number of teachers in these grades, we would probably need about 7 trainings total. So remember, we have 10 that we've paid for, which accommodates smaller groups, especially at the middle school, which has the biggest issue with coverage. So it allows us to break them into even smaller sessions to ensure that teachers can get the training without too many issues with coverage at the school level. So the majority of this quote is professional development for teachers and administrators. It is not in the cost of a product. Any other questions?
No, and please know, this is not a reflection on anything about who you choose, and I appreciate that you know, go into it with a blank slate and just are looking at programming and what's best for our students. But as you know, when we are making decisions, we know that the public looks into what the decisions we're making, and we want to be fully transparent as we're making those decisions, all it's about. So it's not a reflection on anything that you're doing.
I have a question.
Okay.
Can we ask your turn publicly if it's a conflict of interest?
In terms of what, Mr. Powell?
The program.
Oh, no, it's not, it's definitely not. No, I did advise, Mr. Scott, James Vickery on that previously.
All right. Thank you all so much.
I do have a question. I'm sorry. So I do agree. I like the idea. I do believe that our math program does need a new platform. Oh, sorry, guys. I do agree that the math program does need a new platform. I've worked with the math program before. It's great for our district. I think the concern is the sales representative should probably recused themselves from this situation. I don't know if they could have. I don't know if this can be answered, but is there a commission for this person that we know of?
I'm not, I, I'm gonna talk about this product and I just.
So
I'm not
I
gonna
would
open
advise that
myself
you
up. It's
stick to the
inappropriate.
value of the product and we don't speak to, we have no idea what somebody's commission may or may not be, to be honest with you.
I will say this, that our math supervisors and our math supervisor and our math coaches did not know the presenter.
Mhm.
They are the ones that made the decision and recommended it to us. Had no idea who the presenter was.
But if I may, but even if they did,
And
it's very dangerous
does.
questioning people's
Yes,
ethics
I
in
can't.
public because
Yeah.
we hold ourselves to a very high
Yeah.
level of integrity and I don't really appreciate it because we're going after my staff and I don't like it.
I would just like to say, before I continue with what MAP is, as Mr. Sanchez says, we are dedicated. We are concerned. This is a sense of urgency with our kids and their performance. We don't really have time to think about things that may be inappropriate. We're here. This is the best product. And you see the comparison with HMH versus this. I'm going to pass this around in a few minutes, but it actually explains how the data is broken down in operations and algebraic thinking, numbers and operations, measurement and data, geometry. Teachers receive a full report of where students are, not just by grade, but in the domain, specific areas. HMH could not provide that type of information. In fact, HMH will be transitioning, and HMH has also accepted NWEA MAP. So they're all going together because it is an awesome project. And we just, that information just came to me today. So what MAP is a norm reference assessment that districts, schools, grade levels, and teachers can use to gather information about where students are performing at grade levels and in each domain. That's the difference between HMH math inventory. It breaks it down by domain. And if you're a math teacher, as one of our trustees are, you know that that's very valuable. MAP measures each standard within the domains and then provides insight as a school, class, and for individual students. The reports set growth goals for students to help close academic gaps that may exist because every student does not learn at the same pace and in the same way. It is important to have usable data to help improve student learning outcomes. Mathematics, and this is put together by our coaches and our math supervisor. Mathematics is complex. For example, a student may do very well in geometry, but not in numbers and operations. MAP will provide that data with specific student data. MAP also provides teachers with data for growth continuums, and that's what I gave to you, the continuum, so you can see the continuum of learning and where a student may be. So it's very specific. While a growth target is set by points, the student can be on a low growth trajectory. Depending on student trajectories, teachers and administrators can work together to identify students who may need more intensive support of interventions based on the continuum to increase their ability in the areas, skills they need more support in. Students are assessed 3 times a year, providing schools with the opportunity to measure the intervention's progress and student growth. We will use MAP for an intervention. We are now going to have tier 1, tier 2 intervention. And this information that we receive from MAP will really help to pinpoint the specifics. We have an intervention plan, and I don't want to talk about it yet because I haven't even spoken to all of my principals, but look at Ms. Whitaker looking at me. I mean, we don't do anything without working collaboratively with our principals. So, and I know Mrs. Whitaker will like this data because it really drills down. But anyway, so that's what we have. Not going to go into details about the rest, but once again, this is the product that does more than HMH, and we're happy with it. And thank you.
Thank
Any
you, Ms.
questions?
Parchman.
Thank you. Well.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? All right, so are we ready to vote?
Yeah, so we bring forth the resolution for C1 through C23 for a vote.
Okay, so we have a second, so we're a roll call.
Okay, Mr. Mendez is absent. Mr. Carroll? Mr. Carroll?
Yes, but I do have a question about C9.
Okay.
I disregard. Just come back to me for a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so, Mr. Coleman?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't hear anyone. Ms. Cordero Alton?
Miss Singh, they can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
They can't hear you.
Should I start over?
Yeah, I'm good. You can start.
Okay, Mr. Mendez is absent. Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
To everything?
Yeah.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Cordero Alton?
Yes.
Ms. Maury?
Yes to all except for C9. I'm going to abstain.
Okay, Ms. Maury abstained from C9, voted yes for everything. Mr. Meehan?
I vote for everything, and I agree with my distinguished trustee, Murray. I abstain on C9.
Okay, so I have 2 abstentions from C9. Mr. Powell?
Yeah.
Ms. Somerville?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez is absent. Mr. James Vickery?
Yes.
Okay, so that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I do have C1, C23 completely passing.
Go ahead.
Yes. Motion C1, yeah.
Moving on to D. Facilities and Finance. Mr. Carroll?
Okay, be it resolved that the Hackensack Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and School Business Administrator Board Secretary, approves D1 through D7, highlighting D6 is for the approval of the substitute teachers company. That's it.
Second.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Hold on. Oh, well, I was trying to figure out, that's not D6, but
No.
D6 is not for substitute teachers.
D7.
D7, okay.
He meant these.
All right, so who seconded it?
I did.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Bendezu is absent. Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Cordero Alton?
Yes.
Ms. Maury?
Yes.
Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yeah.
Ms. Somerville,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez is absent, Mr. James Vickery,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, Mr. Carroll, you're back up for Buildings and Grounds.
Sure. Be it resolved that the Hackensack Board of Education and the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools and the School Business Administrator Board Secretary approves E1 through E10. Highlighting E7, which is changes to the egress at the elevator at Fairmount School, which will be, if I'm not mistaken, the expense is going to be covered by DMR because it was a design issue. That's it.
All right, thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cordero Oughton. A roll call.
Mr. Bendezo is absent, Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Ms. Cordero Alton,
Yes.
Ms. Maury,
Yes.
Mr. Meehan,
Yes.
Mr. Powell.
Yes.
Ms. Somerville,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez is absent, Mr. James Vickery,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, thank you. Moving on to, do we have anything for community relations? No? No, okay, thank you. Any old business we need to take care of? All right, any new business? So, one piece of new business that I, think we need to just make sure that we're all on the same page is, actually, I'm gonna wait on that. So let's move on to board comments. We'll start, it says Mr. Powell's on the phone. Mr. Powell?
Yes, guy.
Board comments.
Board comment.
Put him to the mic.
Call in. I hope you get on safe. Thank all the board members for coming out. Thank Mr. Sanchez, I miss you. You're awesome superintendent. Great job. Thank everyone for coming out. And you want to come safe. Have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye. Let me go do my exercise. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ms. Somerville?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you guys for coming out. Definitely appreciate you guys showing up. I know it's hot in this auditorium, so we're gonna make this quick so you guys can go home. Mr. Sanchez, I know you haven't left yet, but again, I wish you the best of luck. I fully understand exactly what you're going through. You know, been there a few times and it is almost inconceivable to lose, you know, two people in the space of a month. So I do understand you prioritizing mental health and your children. So I wish you the very, very best in what your next, you know, adventure is. And thank you very much for everything, right? I definitely appreciate it. To everybody else, thank you very much for coming out again, and guys, get home safely and good night.
Thank you, Mr. Meehan.
I too want to wish the superintendent Sanchez well. He is a man of great character and virtue and integrity. He has done wonders for the school district. And I know I only knew him for approximately 1 month, but he has welcomed me with open arms. And I consider him as not only a fellow colleague with a tremendous amount of experience to share with the board, as well as all the staff, but he has taken on the burden of this school district with great character. And I hope that everyone in the audience understands that he had to make some tough decisions. And he deserves a round of applause for his commitment to comments.
Thank you. Mr. Carroll?
I want to thank everybody for coming out. Want to thank Coach Wrestler. I think he left already, but for all the things that he's doing with the football program here. When, it was good to see him come out and speak too. I had a smile on my face while he was giving his presentation because he was one of the football players that I coached, so it's good to see him doing good things, and he came home to do it back at Hackensack, so that's awesome. Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Parchment and Dr. Casmer for clarifying a lot of things on the math program. And to Superintendent Sanchez, thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you. Again, you've been doing this a long time. You're very knowledgeable, and you saw our vision as we seen it. And again, it's been a pleasure, and I wish you and your family the best. Thank you.
Ms. Maury?
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to reiterate what everyone has basically been saying. Mr. Sanchez, wishing you all the best on your new chapter, wishing you so much joy spending time with your family, as family should always come first, right? We should always remember that time you'll never get back. So just want to wish everyone a wonderful summer. Thank you to Dr. Kazmar and to Ms. Parkman for clarifying on the MAP program. I'm glad that it passed. And it is a wonderful program. So I look forward for our students to use it in the future. And that's pretty much it. Have a good night, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. I know executive session probably seemed to take a little bit longer, especially if the AC was not on in here. So to Mrs. Parchman and team, thank you so much for presenting this evening. I did request that. I appreciated it. I feel that it was necessary so that the community is understanding of why this was the program that is being requested. I did not want there to be seen as any type of impropriety on part of the board. And again, everyone was very forthcoming. I think that your presentation was helpful, and I am very much looking forward to seeing how this now will change what we have happening in our district. And I would also greatly like to remind everyone that the things happening here are not just happening here. And so I'm very grateful that you and the team and the administration at Hackensack have taken the opportunity to make sure that we're making the advances and have the necessary tools. So I look forward to seeing those numbers change in the upcoming year. And so I greatly appreciate that. Just to piggyback off of what Demetrius talked about with Coach Ressler, I'm not even a football person. My husband visits every possible football event he can. So no, I don't love it. However, I heard nothing but rave reviews on this absolutely amazing visit that was really hard to believe how it was kept under wraps, and such an amazing surprise. And I've heard from kids and parents alike that it was just wonderful. And I'm so grateful that we have individuals who are keeping their ear to the ground and looking for any and every opportunity to put Hackensack in the light, in a positive platform for others to see and also hopefully follow. So I agree with that. Stay cool. Let's pray for no more rain and enjoy. Thank you.
Owen?
Great comments by everyone. I have nothing to add.
All right. So I will be quick-ish. So I would like to set a different scene than than Coach Ressler did. So I had the honor of getting to come to it, and I'm not really a sports person that much, but it was so exciting to see because the kids had no idea, the players, I don't call them kids. And so they're all right here where Miss Story is and Miss Whitaker. They're like about one row past Miss Whitaker, and they kept us like the 2 or 3 board members that were here and the media people, and there was one like semi-famous kind of media person, like a sporty person, I don't know. And they were doing their thing, like, but they were all kept out, and the players were watching like film or whatever, you know, like reviewing film or whatever, and then they break into kind of I forgot his name already. Garrett Wilson, who was amazing. Garrett Wilson, kind of footage from him, and then there's a piece where somebody announces him, and then he walks out, and they just erupted. But then, because you know the new uniforms came out, the 3 guys were wearing them, and they're just awesome. Very shiny.
Vegas gold.
They're gold. But they're awesome. And then there was some other swag that they had done, and but this guy, because I really thought, I mean, because the way they kind of made it sound and feel like it was like he's going to be breathe in 15 minutes, breathe out, you know. He genuinely, I hope in 5 years he is the way he was the other day. He talked to each guy, looked them in the face, talked to them not just about football, but about life, their person. Like, it was genuinely this most heartfelt, glad to be here. Sorry, that's my phone. It's fine. Glad to be here. Glad to be like it almost brought him up because he's only 22, but like glad to be back with, you know, at the high school. It was really one of the most wonderful moments to see. Signed anything anybody wanted. It was a great experience for the kids and the people watching, honestly. The math program, what we really do, it's about transparency so that people understand the decisions that we're making. But I'll speak for myself and and as the spokesperson of the board, what we desire is that our students get what is best. And if this is the program that offers the things and the attributes that are best, then that's what we want for them. And so thank you, Dr. Kazmark and Ms. Parchment, for the explanation and helping us understand and figure all that out. And then, Mr. Sanchez, I'm not going to say anything nice about you yet until closer to time. You still have work to do. I'll have that. I'll say my nice things in December.
Okay, hope so.
I will. I promise I'm a nice guy. I promise. But I'll say that closer to time because you got lots of work to do still. So until then, thank you all. And can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
No, calm down.
I second. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, Lance.
Catch y'all.